AI was wrapped in a towel when he walked in, and then our eyes met. Today, I have a story that might make you blush, gasp, or maybe even remember a moment from your own past. It all started with something so ordinary, a quiet afternoon, a warm shower, and a soft towel wrapped around me. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. The door creaked open, and there he was. We locked eyes, and in that split second, everything changed. Was it fate, a mistake, or the beginning of something I'd never forget? Stick around because this story takes a turn no one sees coming. Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts and comments, and subscribe for more amazing stories. I had just stepped out of the shower, the towel barely clinging to my damp skin. The house was supposed to be empty, quiet, safe, but then I heard the creak of the front door and footsteps down the hall. Before I could react, he was there, standing in the doorway, eyes locked onto mine. For a moment, everything stood still. The dripping water, the racing heartbeats, the years of loneliness I had buried so well. He was not supposed to see me like this, and yet in that silence, something unspoken passed between us, something I never expected to feel again. The rain had been pouring outside all morning. I always found the sound comforting, like the world was washing itself clean. That day, I needed that calm more than anything. Life had not been easy lately. The house felt emptier with each passing week, as if the silence had learned how to take up space. My daughter had just moved in with her fiancé across town, and while I was proud of her, the sudden quiet left an ache I could not explain. I decided to take a long shower. The steam, the warmth, had helped me forget how alone I had been feeling. I did not bother locking the door. No one was supposed to be home. It was one of those rare weekends when even the neighbors seemed absent. I wrapped a towel around myself, tucked it in carefully over my chest, and stepped out of the bathroom. My wet hair dripped down my back, and I sighed already, thinking of the book I planned to read by the window. That was when I heard it, the sound of the front door. I froze. For a second I thought maybe I had imagined it, but then came the soft thud of shoes being removed. Slow, casual, like whoever it was had every right to be there. My heart thudded against my ribs as I peeked out of the hallway. And that was when I saw him. Then my daughter's fiancé. He was supposed to be at work. They were not even supposed to visit until next weekend. But there he was, standing just inside the door, umbrella in one hand, phone in the other. His eyes scanned the room and then landed on me. It happened too quickly for me to react. His gaze locked onto mine, then slowly traveled downward, hesitant, almost apologetic, but undeniably curious. I clutched my towel tighter, but it was too late. He had seen me, all of me, not just the skin or the dripping hair, but the startled vulnerability that I had not let anyone witness in years. He blinked first. I'm sorry. I knocked, he stammered, lifting the umbrella awkwardly. It was raining so hard. Your daughter said I could stop by to pick up the photo albums. My voice barely escaped me. I thought no one was coming today. He looked like he wanted to disappear, but instead he placed the umbrella in the stand and stepped back. I did not mean to startle you. I can come back later. For a moment I should have told him to leave. I should have turned away, let the moment end. But something made me stay there. Maybe it was the way his voice had softened, or how he had looked at me, not with judgment, but something else, something I had not felt in years. You are already here, I said, forcing a small smile. Might as well get what you came for. He nodded, trying not to look directly at me. Right, the albums, she said. They were in the cabinet near the stairs. Yes, bottom shelf. He started toward it, his steps careful, measured. I slipped into the hallway, keeping to the wall, hoping to escape to my room without any more awkwardness. But as I passed him, our hands brushed barely, unintentionally. And in that second, the room felt too quiet again. He looked at me then, not just a glance, but something deeper. His eyes lingered, filled with something I could not name. Was it admiration, confusion, desire, maybe even all of it at once? It unsettled me. Not because it was wrong, but because of how right it felt. I cleared my throat, suddenly aware of every inch of my body. I'll go get dressed. He nodded, his voice low. Take your time. And as I walked toward my room, I felt his eyes on my back. The air between us had shifted. I did not know what would come next, but I knew something already had. The silence after the door clicked shut was the kind that clung to the air, heavy and charged. I stood there still wrapped in the towel, heart racing, unsure if I should grab something to cover up or just stay still. But before I could decide, he turned around slowly and looked at me, not in a rushed, guilty way. It was different, as if he had seen more than just a woman in a towel, as if he had seen me. "Sorry?" He said, his voice low, calm, a little raspy. "I thought you were still upstairs." My instinct told me to say something flippant, something light to break the tension. But I could not, because that tension, it was not uncomfortable, it was magnetic. Like neither of us knew where to go from here, but we also did not want to leave the moment. He stepped forward, slowly, carefully, as if trying to read the room, to read me. And God help me, I did not move. His eyes searched mine, not demanding anything, just asking. "You look," he began, then stopped himself. A small smile curved his lips. "Beautiful." No one had said that to me in years. Not like this. Not with that weight. Not with that kind of stillness between the words. And not from someone so much younger. I was old enough to know better. I was old enough to walk away, but I was also old enough to understand what it meant to feel truly seen. "I should go change," I finally said, but my voice lacked conviction. Even I could hear that. "Do you want me to?" he asked. I froze. Not because I did not know the answer, but because I did. He reached out slowly, brushing a damp strand of hair from my cheek. My skin burned where his fingers lingered. I could smell the faint scent of his cologne, woodsy, warm, inviting. "This is crazy," I whispered. "It is," he said, moving closer, "but it does not feel wrong. I had spent so many years doing what was right, what was expected, what was safe, and here in my own home, still damp from the shower, wrapped in a towel and standing in front of a man who should have felt off limits. I had never felt more alive." His hand slipped to the edge of my towel, not pulling, just resting, seeking permission. I nodded. The fabric slid away, pulling at my feet. I felt the air hit my skin, but I did not feel exposed. Not with the way he looked at me, as if I was art. He kissed me slowly, deliberately. There was nothing rushed about it. His lips were soft, his hands firm, and every part of me felt like it had been starved of this kind of touch, this kind of attention. We moved through the room, his body pressing against mine, not to dominate, but to worship. He lifted me as if I weighed nothing and carried me to the couch. I laughed quietly. It was the most absurd, the most delicious kind of surrender. "You are unbelievable," I said, breathless, as he traced kisses along my collarbone. "So are you," he replied, his voice shaking slightly, not from nerves but from awe. Our bodies moved together like they had known each other for years. There was no awkwardness, only warmth, intensity, and a surprising tenderness. He listened, really listened to every reaction, every breath, every pause. "You are not what I expected," I murmured. He paused, looking into my eyes. "Neither are you." We stayed wrapped around each other for what felt like hours, our hands speaking more than our mouths ever could. There was no guilt, no hesitation, just the soft, steady unfolding of something neither of us had planned. Afterward, as we lay there, his fingers traced gentle circles on my bare shoulder. He said, "I have never looked at someone and felt this calm before." "This sure?" I looked up at him, confused. "I am twice your age," he smiled. "You are everything I never knew I needed." For a moment I did not speak. I just held him tighter. As maybe, just maybe, I had needed this too. When I woke the next morning, sunlight spilled through the curtains in long, golden streaks. I could hear the faint hum of someone in the kitchen. Him. The memory of last night clung to my skin like warmth after a fire. It had not just been physical, it had been something else, something dangerous in its honesty. Beautiful, but undeniably complicated. I sat up slowly, pulling the sheet around myself, suddenly aware of the silence that followed pleasure. The kind of silence that made you question whether what happened was real, or if it would simply disappear with the morning light. I found him at the counter, barefoot, shirtless, making coffee like it was the most natural thing in the world. He looked at me and smiled a smile that reached his eyes. Not apologetic, not confused. His shirt. "You take yours black, right?" he asked. I nodded, surprised by how calm he was, how normal everything felt. My hands wrapped around the warm mug he handed me, and I stared into the steam, searching for the right words. "We should talk," I said quietly. He leaned against the counter, watching me. I figured that would come next. I looked up. It was not supposed to happen, but it did. He said gently, "And you are not pretending it meant nothing." That says everything. I wanted to argue, wanted to say something responsible, mature, rational, but I was tired of being those things. I had been those things for too long. "I have a daughter," I finally said. "You are her fiancé." "No," he said softly. "I was." I blinked. "What?" He looked down at his cup. "We ended things 2 weeks ago. She did not want to tell you right away. Said she was afraid you would be disappointed." A long silence settled between us, not because I was angry, but because a quiet truth had just shifted the weight of everything, the shame I had started to carry in my chest. It eased. So I shook my head, struggling. "You are too young. You could have anyone. Why me?" He stepped closer, voice steady, eyes locked on mine. "Because when you speak, you mean it. Because you move through the world like you have survived it. Because you are not just beautiful, you are real. And maybe I am young, but I know what it means to feel something that matters." I swallowed hard. No one had ever said that to me before. Not like that. Not without strings. Not without a motive. And that terrified me. "You will get bored," I whispered. "You will wake up one day and want someone your age, someone with less baggage." "I will take all of it," he said, walking forward until he was close enough to touch. "Your age, your scars, your doubts. I want the whole story." I looked away, my throat tightening. "I am not used to being wanted like this." "I know," he said gently. "But you are." The words undid me. I reached out almost by instinct, and he pulled me into his arms. The embrace was not about lust. It was about being held. It was about being seen. And in that moment, I felt the walls I had built begin to crack. Still doubt lingered in the shadows of my heart. What if this was just a moment, season, a beautiful detour? What if he was everything I had always needed, but I was not what he would still want once time had passed? I did not ask those questions out loud, just held on to him a little tighter, as sometimes all you have is the moment, and sometimes the moment is enough to change everything. A week later, I stood at the window with a quiet mind and a full heart. He was outside watering the plants barefoot in the morning sun. I watched him laugh at something the neighbor said, completely at ease, completely here. The guilt I had once wrapped myself in had softened. The shame had faded, not because time erased it, but because truth had replaced it. My daughter called. We talked for an hour. He told me she was in a new relationship, happier, healthier. There was no bitterness in her voice, just maturity, growth, closure. And when I told her about us, she was silent for a moment before she said, "I always knew he looked at you differently. Maybe that was the problem. It was not an accusation, it was understanding." Later, as we sat together, he took my hand in his without asking. Just a quiet, confident gesture that said he was still choosing me. I never expected a new chapter to begin like this. I had written off romance. I had convinced myself that passion belonged to youth. But here I was, 50 years old, rediscovering desire, trust, and intimacy. Did not matter how it started. What mattered was how real it had become. Sometimes the most unexpected connection is the one that heals you. Not because it is perfect, but because it arrives when you have finally stopped pretending you do not need it. And I had stopped pretending. Looking back, that unexpected moment wrapped in nothing but a towel staring into his eyes was more than just awkward. It was raw, unfiltered, and strangely electric. Some people will say it was inappropriate. Others might call it destiny. Was it an invasion of privacy or the spark of something real? You decide. Leave a comment. Was it just a mistake or something meant to be? Follow me so I have more motivation to create even more great videos. or encourage me by simply pressing the number 1.